Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Effect podcast. This is episode number 2, part 2. So I guess it's technically episode number 3, but never mind. We have the continuation of Shauna Lynn Simon, founder, lead designer, lead home stager with Beyond the Stage Homes. Again, this time around for part 2, we're going to be talking again. We got to get to the bottom of this whole convention in Vegas thing. How does this work? Giving out good advice to your clients, how critical it is, and I guess apparently how colorblind my daughter and I are because we don't know what accent walls are. So without further ado, here's the rest of the interview, part 2 with Shauna Lynn Simon.
Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. Finance, life, business, and everything in between. And now, your host, Stephen Green.
I'm a part of the Real Estate Staging Association. I've been a member. I'm honestly not sure how many years I've been a member for, but I've been in leadership with them, both on our local board and now also on the national board of directors. So I'm actually the Canadian representative with the Real Estate Staging Association.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So with
lots
that,
of great contacts that way
tons
too.
of great contacts, and it's really given me a great eye into the industry to have a better idea of how people need help and how I can support them. And I provide a lot of support at no charge as well through the work that I do with RESA.
Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice. It's when some of the new mortgage specialists come on with RBC. That's my message to them. You know, we can all work together. There's enough business to go around. We can help each other out. You know, and it's right. Nice. It's nice if you're sharing that knowledge. I think that's very, very important. That's fantastic.
Well, the way that I look at the industry as well is, it is still a growing industry, and there's still a smaller percentage of real estate agents that are using home stagers than what there should be. So I know that market is going to continue to grow, and as it grows, we're simply not capable of servicing all of that. I mean, we're maxed out pretty much. I mean, that's why I keep hiring new employees, because we need to be able to take on more work. So having other home stagers entering the industry and also helping to what the competition, so to speak, actually does is it helps to elevate the industry as a whole, because it makes it so that everyone needs to step up their game. When there's more competition out there, there's more selection, more choices. So what's going to make you stand out? And that makes each one of us look at our business models and determine exactly how we can provide the best value to our clients.
That's interesting. That's really interesting, because you're right. You're right. It's, what is this person doing? Oh, I should try that. And everyone just gets better.
Exactly.
Right. So that's great. Okay. So you got to level with me here, because I have never been to a convention in Vegas, but I know you were just in Vegas, the middle of summer. I'm sure that was nice and comfortable with the heat.
It's a little hot.
So does any work actually get done at a convention in Las Vegas? You got and level with me here.
Legitimately, it does. Yes.
Okay.
So,
like, by the pool, work gets done. No. Like, what are we talking about here?
Okay. So, for starters, a ton of conventions happen in Vegas. It's actually one of the number one places to host a convention. They're so well equipped for it. And that's one of the reasons that location's been chosen for our annual convention. It's the most convenient, cheapest flights to get there. Just makes sense overall. So as far as does work happen, yes. Here's the catch. Here's how we do things. We leave a few days prior to the convention, because the convention itself, in all honesty, we start at 7:00 in the morning and we go until 10:00 at night. It is nonstop.
Maximizing time.
We don't even get outside during that time. So, which this time in the summer was probably a bit of a
probably not a bad thing.
Probably not a bad thing. But so we go a few days in advance, so we can take in some shows, take in some good eats, and maybe hang out by the pool a little bit. We actually purposely forced ourselves to just basically turn off our phones for an entire day and hang out by the pool. So it's fabulous.
That's good. Yeah. And I coach competitive volleyball, as you know.
Right.
And I'm a member of the American Volleyball Coaches Association. So we have our conventions are in December. And it's in sunshine destinations such as Minneapolis, Minnesota, or Kansas City.
Right.
So Omaha, Nebraska, right? So if anyone at AVCA is listening, I hope you just heard what Shauna said about Vegas in December. So
it's fabulous. But honestly, so the event that I was at that you're talking about is the RISA convention. It's the biggest home staging event of the year. Each year, it's an annual event. Used to be in January, recently moved to July. It will be staying in July, from what I understand, for future years as well. But it is one of the best things that I've ever done for my business, was starting to attend this convention. I did it years ago, my first time, and I've gone back every year since. This year, I was so fortunate to have my entire team of stagers there. There's 3 of us. All 3 of us were able to attend the convention, and there's so many valuable tools. So what's great about this convention is that we come back with all sorts of neat little tidbits that we can now start putting into effect in our own business. So our clients get the benefits from it. So I promise it is well worth it for my entire team to go to Vegas. I swear it is. If my bookkeeper is listening.
Yeah, right. So now your team's won a lot of awards down there, because I mean, you've been to the convention for quite a bit, a few years. I know Jen's won an award. You've run some awards. Share with us some of the awards you've won.
What's really great about the awards that we've won through RISA are that they are all voted on by the membership of the Real Estate Staging Association.
That makes it special.
So that makes it really special, because those are our colleagues. So no one's going to be a bigger critic than our colleagues, right? You know, we are our own worst enemies when it comes to that sometimes. And I mean that in, personal critique, obviously. So we put, we kind of set the standards, I would say, on others. So Jennifer won Top Rising Star a number of years ago as, one of the top stagers, that you should be watching for, basically, coming up. And I kind of snatched her up right after that. So who's the smart one on that one? So yeah, we've won in a number of categories. The one that I won this year was a little extra special. It's called the Kathy Nielsen Spirit Award. And Kathy Nielsen passed away a few years ago, but she was an integral part of RISA. And her focus was definitely on mentoring other home stagers and supporting them, and really helping others to do bigger and better things. And so the award in her honor is for people that are in leadership that are, emulating some of the same qualities that Kathy had. So I knew Kathy. She was a fabulous person. So to be honored in her name was just such an amazing thing for me. And a total surprise for anyone who has seen the photos. Everyone asked me, like, you looked really surprised. Well, yeah, they don't tell you in advance. You don't apply for the award. It's just one that you get nominated for. So I had no idea. And in fact, when they were announcing the recipient and they were talking about the person that won the award, in my head I was thinking, wow, that sounds like a great person. I wonder who it is. So I was thinking, I really want to know who this person is, because I'd like to become friends with them. So lo and behold.
It's a pretty easy conversation.
Well, we fight sometimes, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. So I've always been told, as long as you're not arguing with yourself, you're normally okay. So Maybe.
I have a few healthy arguments sometimes, so I think
Fair
they make
enough.
me better. Yes.
It does make it more special when it's the award's named after somebody, because there is that history. There's the what that person stood for. So that's great. Well, congratulations to you and your team. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next part, funniest business story. Now, I if you're struggling for one, I know one for sure that you and I have been involved in. But what is your funniest business story before I throw mine out there?
Oh my gosh, you have me thinking about it. I wonder what yours is, because I can't honestly think of it myself. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen. I used to be a very sarcastic person. I'm slightly less sarcastic these days, I find. But every once in a while, I've had to pull up the sarcasm with clients just to kind of get through whatever it is that we're dealing with, because, it's amazing some of the things I think that we see. I think probably most of my funny stories so actually come from more the behind the scenes stuff than the actual staging stuff itself, because so much goes wrong behind the scenes that no one sees. And in the end, we're always like, oh, that's exactly how we had it all planned out. Look how beautiful it is. And no one has any idea of the twists and turns along the way. And it usually turns out even better than we had actually planned. But we kind of wish we had saved ourselves that stress of getting to that point. So, I mean, from staging in snowstorms and windstorms and rainstorms, I think some of the funniest times happen when we're just sleep deprived and shopping last minute for everything, which we normally, I mean, we're well stocked and well equipped in terms of home staging inventory, and nonetheless we seem to constantly run out still. And so every
house is unique, right?
Absolutely.
Every situation, yeah.
And every stager will tell the story of rating their own personal house for items, which I stopped doing years ago. I actually redesigned my entire house so there was nothing I could steal.
And it's bolted down.
And pretty much.
Tied down, yep.
Yes. So I've done that on purpose. But so running to the store late at night, and it's comical because the staff always laughs at us because we're literally just filling up carts of stuff, parking them at the front. We'll be back with that. And we just, by the end of it, it's 6-7 carts of stuff. And we're trying to figure out how we're going to get it all into the vehicle that we brought and how we're going to get it back to storage. So it's entertaining to say the least. But I'd love to know, what is the story that you have, though?
So my wife, she's going to be listening to this, so I'm going to make sure this stays as positive as possible. But God bless her, she always wants the house the right color. And our previous home, she's laughing, she knows where this is going, but our previous home, I'm pretty sure our bathroom changed colors 6 times. And it was an impossible tile to match. And I get it. I mean, hey, I'm not a decorating guy. I mean, if anyone knows how I dress, it's, if pants end up on me, then I'm good. So, and they match. That's also even bonus. But so I said, you know what, Tracy, who's my wife, I said, let's have Shauna come over and just figure out the colors, because we wanted to repaint the living room, the kitchen, the whatever, the hallway, the whole bed.
Bedrooms.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have some tougher colors to match. Mm-hmm. It was brown and this and that and whatever. So Shauna comes over and you did everything. You said, oh, try this. You're writing on the wall, dark and light and dark and light. And I had no idea that apparently in a room like a living room, there is an accent wall. Is that how that is?
So sometimes you can either do one wall is a different color. Sometimes you do a couple walls is a different color. So the way that I approached it to you was I was saying, I like the idea of doing a couple different colors in this room, but not the way that it's been done here.
But that's the key thing. I've lived in this house for almost 2 years, and apparently one wall is a different color than the other. I had no idea. It's all brown to me. So I had no idea that apparently that's something that happens. So if you can picture for people who know what I look like, staring at the corner of a wall and just going back and forth with my head, bobbing back and forth, trying to figure this out. Had no idea. And of course I'm being laughed at and taunted. And so the kids come home.
Well, and just to back up for a second, it was your reaction of, what do you mean, like we've done here? And I said, well, the way that they've painted the walls, they're, 2 different colors of sort of this brown type color. And you're like, what are you talking about? And so I had to actually walk you up to the corner to say, do you see this wall and this wall? They are not the same. And that's when you started going back and forth. You're like, oh my goodness, look at that. Yep. They're not the same.
Yeah, so, hire Shauna, because there's a lot of things you learn. But then our daughter comes home, and now I'm trying to prove I'm not a complete moron. And, our daughter comes home, and I said, Emily, what do you notice about the colors of the walls in this room? And she's like, well, I don't know, they're brown. I said, but look really closely. And, she's like, basically, why are you asking me this question? I said, You have to really tell me, are these colors, what do you notice? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, do you notice that one's darker than that one? And then the same glazed look. And I'm like, Tracy, see what I mean? It's not just me. I had no idea. So anyway, I don't know if you tell your clients that story, because there was this guy, he didn't even know there were different color walls in a house he's been living in. But
I've told it a couple of times. Only one time that I actually used your name, because you actually referred the client. And so I qualified, first of all, to make sure that they weren't clients of yours, that I was about to trash you in front of, basically. So I confirmed that they were friends of yours. And so we said, okay, great, I got the best story for you.
Yeah, I heard about it. So if you don't learn anything else from the podcast, go home, check your walls. One might be darker than the other. Might not be on purpose, who knows, but just to let you all know.
So how did the colors turn out in the end, though?
Oh, fantastic.
Good. So
we had it painted, we've got different color walls that I am fully aware of now in our house. And
but they blend nicely together.
You know what? It was, because again, I think we have almost like a brownish beige, not beige, but a brownish type countertop, granite countertop. And we have a brown backsplash, and we have brown furniture, and I don't know how we end up with brown all the time, but the stuff that you did recommend, I know when we first came home, we had it painted while we were on vacation. We first came home and we kind of looked and we're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this works. It took a minute, right? Because it's tough. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And we wanted something where we didn't want to paint every, like I said, with the bathroom in our old home, we didn't want to paint, 6 times over 6 months. So it was a color we never thought of, and it worked.
Good.
Right? So that's where, that's where,
It's
paying
almost
the
like I
money
know
to
what
get
I'm
it
doing.
done right, you're going to save a lot of money on paint, and you learn something along the way.
Right, exactly.
Multicolored walls. Everyone's probably thinking I got rainbows on my walls. No, it's just 2 different colors. But yeah, so it's, that sort of thing's important, right? It's something I believe in. So
Absolutely,
it saves
yeah.
me a heck of a lot of money on painting, that's for sure.
I don't know
So-
about you, but I am a big advocate on paying the experts to do what they do well, and I stick to what I do well. And I used to be a bit more of a do-it-yourselfer, and I think part of that came in from finances, but I've started to realize that my time is way more valuable than my money. So I am that much more inclined. There's little things around my house that sure I'm going to attempt to fix them before I call in a professional for, if I think it's a minor tweak here and there. There's definitely things that I'm fairly handy, but like I won't touch plumbing. So I'm actually calling a plumber probably by the end of this week. I've got a few things that need to be fixed at my place, and I don't touch that kind of stuff. I actually pay a company to take care of my lawn care and my snow removal as well, because you know what? It's not that I couldn't do it. It's that I don't care to do it. So the time that it would take for me, I have a pretty large property, so it's about 45 minutes or so just to mow the lawn. That's 45 minutes I can't get back.
Yeah.
I have a corner lot, exactly. I'm responsible for the boulevard, large backyard. So, and even the driveway, it's a 5-car driveway. So in the wintertime, and we run our business out of my house. For those that are not aware, I run my business out of my house. So we have deliveries coming and going. We have clients coming and going sometimes, and of course my staff. So to me, there's so much value in paying someone else to do that for me. So, and I think that a lot more people feel that way now, that like you were just saying about why not pay the professional to pick out the right colors the first time, so that you end up spending more time and money by trying to do things yourself often. So,
And that's a very business mindset, though.
yes.
I have that as well, where, could I be working with my clients who are my main source of income, instead of, breaking something 4 times and then having to call
Right.
someone anyway, right? So, because I'm just not a handy guy. Like, I'm a handy guy with certain things. After that, like, I'll just break it, right? It won't go well.
And I'll let you in on a little secret that for everyone who's listening, just me, you, and everyone who's listening to this podcast, I don't enjoy doing things on my own house. Everyone always says, you must have a house that's just decorated to the nines. I get so frustrated and annoyed every time I have to do something on my own house, whether it's a renovation or just an update or whatever. Yes, I'm always thrilled with the end result, but I hate making the decisions for it, going through the process of it, just because my whole thought is always, I could be out helping my clients. I could be out doing something else. This is not where I want to spend my time. I love it when I do it for someone else, but I get less enjoyment out of it at my own house. So I'm a little bit of a plumber with a leaky faucet kind of scenario.
Ditto. I'm totally with you. Yeah, and my wife knows, like, the expectation is just so low. It's, she'll say, this is broken. Who are you going to call?
Right.
Like, well, honey, I know I have someone on speed dial for that. So
Exactly.
we have an older home, so people like coming to our house because they make lots of money off our house. But that's another issue completely.
Yep, same.
So, okay, so I wanted to top 5 list.
Oh yeah, what does it do?
Okay,
Top
so
list of?
I need the top 5 things you have walked into in a home that gives you that reaction you just gave, that big laugh.
Ooh, I mean, some are bigger than others. I would say, no matter how many years I've been doing this, I always say, nothing could surprise me now. And every once in a while I walk and I'm like, oh, well, that's different. So I have seen big naked statues in the foyer. That's my favorite one.
I'm Italian. I can appreciate that. Yep. Got it.
They weren't Italian statues.
Okay.
So there's that.
They were statues though, right?
They were statues.
Just
though.
checking?
Yes,
Okay.
They were statues. Well, I didn't check that closely, but yes. And then, of course, there's also the reaction of, I'm going to need you to remove this before listing your house for sale. And that dumbfounded, are you serious? Really? Why? One of those things you don't really think you need to explain. I have seen, I mean, on a bit more of a serious note, we have worked with hoarders. I get asked that question a lot of times. We have worked with hoarders, and it's a really challenging situation because there's a lot of emotional attachment that goes into that. So it's a very challenging situation. At the same time, I mean, I've just been blown away by what I have seen in some of these hoarder type houses. There's also, let's just say everyone has a different level of cleanliness.
Yes, and it means different things to different people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've actually learned over the years to catch myself before telling someone that they need to clean things, where they end up saying to me, well, we have cleaned it. I've learned how to kind of rephrase it to explain to them that we need a deeper level of cleaning.
That's good. I like that. Deeper level. I like that.
And I kind of explain it, that we all clean on a regular basis and we don't get into all those nitty gritty corners. And we actually provide them with a cleaning checklist to help them understand exactly what we mean by it. But we actually have one of our dress code policies is all of my employees need to wear socks when they go into someone's home. And I have no problem walking around my friend's house in bare feet, but I find it's a little bit maybe disrespectful, for lack of a better term, to walk into a stranger's home in bare feet.
I agree. Yep.
So it's always been a part of my policy, to have, if they don't have socks, like, summertime, they're not wearing socks, they have to bring a pair of slippers or a pair of socks to put on when they get there. Well, I will tell you that my team has thanked me on numerous occasions for that little bit of our dress code. In fact, so much so that they threw out their socks after their consultations.
Yikers.
So there's that. We had one house, and obviously I'm not going to give any names or anything like that because I don't want to embarrass people.
Or addresses or postal codes.
Or addresses or postal codes.
Got it.
But we did have one house where you could actually see it in our before photos of there was feces all over the floor. They had dogs, and the dogs just went in the house, and it didn't seem to bother anyone. The kids are actually just playing around it.
Oh, no.
So it was a little bit disturbing, I guess.
Yes. That's a good word.
We've also seen renovations gone wrong. That's one of my favorite things to see, but also one of my saddest ones to see, because once the renovation's gone wrong, it's really hard to tell someone start over. So we try to do our best to fix it, but there have been times where we're like, you really just have to.
This is going to cost you money.
Yeah.
Or you're going to lose it.
Yeah. We had one house where the homeowner had actually passed away. It was an estate sale, and the homeowner had apparently finished the basement himself. And so when I did the consultation with the person that was managing the estate, when we got to the basement, I was trying to figure out ways that we could fix it. And I said, I think your best thing to do is gut the basement and sell it as an unfinished basement.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how bad it was, though. That I didn't think there was enough. There generally isn't, and I will say this, there generally is not enough return value on finishing a basement. That's not always the case, but usually in our experience in most houses, there are some cases where if you really need that basement because you need more living space in this house, it might need to be done. But most of the time, we don't find there's any value to finishing it. But in this case, I felt that it was going to be such a deterrent and seem like such a big project for people seeing all the mistakes that had been made that their best bet was to gut it all together.
Yeah, and then that way they see at least a blank slate and
Exactly.
not a whole bunch of I have to tear this out. That's interesting.
Exactly.
Okay.
I had one house recently that had a really cool, what they called the spy room.
A spy
It was
room?
a spy room. It was sort of an area. I believe it was above one of the garages or something that was off of one of the daughter's rooms. And it was actually out of her closet. And the door for it was like a dwarf height door, basically. But when you went in, it was fully excavated on the inside and was a full height, actually extra height ceiling room that the kids used as a playroom. But they called it their spy room because it was a room that no one else would have known existed. And it was kind of cool that like you could hide in there and no one would find you. Like if you had a babysitter and they didn't know that this room existed, they'd be panicked looking for you all over the house.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, some homes have, and especially the older homes, right?
Yeah,
They've
just
got
like
weird
little
stuff
secret
like that.
kind of rooms. So
I was in another, I think actually Tracy and I were out looking at open houses when we were buying our house, and we found like a castle in the basement. That's sort of same thing, right? It was like a panic room almost, right? And only kids could fit in there. And like, oh man, that's kind of weird, but
it is one of the coolest things I would say about my job, I think, is that I get to go into so many unique houses, and I get to, not only that, but I get to learn about different people and their stories and what brought them. And they're not always happy stories, admittedly, but it's really cool to hear about the journey that people have taken and where they're heading to next, and be able to kind of be a part of that and help them along the way. And again, I get to see so many different houses, and I've seen some really unique styles over the years too. Yeah. Only a couple that I've like fallen madly in love with, like, oh, I could totally buy this house. But
yeah, it's interesting. And then culturally as well, right? Like we got, naked statues or whatever the case may be. So, or in Italian culture, the two lions at the end of the driveway or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different stuff like that. So a couple of things I wanted you to talk about. I know you're part of two, I'm probably going to butcher this a little bit, not boards, but you're very big into the MS Walk. And you're also a foster mom. Is that how you word it? Yep. For a ton of cats. So this is your shameless plug time. Talk to me about some of this work, because I know the MS Walk, it's something you're passionate about, and you do a a lot of work with. So.
I do. So I am the chairperson for the Kitchener-Waterloo MS Walk each year.
You have a lot of chairs. Because aren't you a chairperson with RISA as well?
I am the Canadian representative for the National Board of Directors for the Real Estate Agents Association.
You could have just gone with chairperson. That's all good.
But there is a chairperson. That's not me.
Okay.
So I got to be careful on that.
In that case, be careful with that. Okay.
But I am the chairperson for the local MS Walk. I've been involved with the MS Walk since, I want to say it was around 2000 that I started walking, and joined the committee in 2007 for the 2007 walk. Joined in 2006, I should say, for the 2007 walk as their volunteer coordinator, and did that for a number of years before taking over the chairperson position, which I want to say I'm working on my 6th walk now, if I'm not mistaken. I think 2019 will be 6 walks as chair. And it's become an extension of my family. The committee that I have is a phenomenal group of volunteers. And we work closely with the Grand River chapter as well, and put together a walk that it's one of the biggest ones in Canada. It brings in a ton of money. We have some incredible local sponsors that I'm not even going to try to mention one, because I won't be able to mention them all, but I can say that we have some super generous sponsors that we give shout outs and plugs to all year round, because we're so fortunate to have them. So, and of course the walkers that we have that are raising the money, it's actually interesting because I speak to people that have walks in their locations, and they're talking about their top fundraisers, bringing in a few $1,000s. And last year's top fundraiser brought in over $25,000 for the local walk. So
that's fantastic.
So we've got a really, really great community. And I always say that MS Walk Day is kind of like my Christmas day, because it's just one of the most fun, energetic, entertaining days of the year. And I can't sleep the night before. I'm so excited about it. It's not a stressful thing for me planning this walk. It's just so much fun. And I can't wait for walk weekend. So that's
walk weekend? Where can people get more information on this?
So you can get more information at mswalks.ca, and I want to say it's May 6th for 2019, but don't quote me on that. It is the first Sunday in May.
Okay. And we're all talking about multiple sclerosis, not mortgage specialist. I was just thinking that.
Good point. Yes.
Working for a bank, we have so many acronyms. I'm like, wait a second. Yeah.
So we're talking about multiple sclerosis, which my dad has. He was diagnosed with back in the 90s. So he's had that for a number of years, which is what got me involved with them. And then as far as my work with the Kitchener-Waterloo Humane Society, I love what I do with them. And so I started fostering with them, 4 years ago. I want to say 4 years ago now, I think. And so it's actually interesting because I have a new litter of kittens that I just got on the weekend, and there's a big Facebook post helping me to name them. And what's funny is every time someone suggests a name, I've already had that name. So when
you've had a lot of cats and kittens go through.
So I'm creeping around the triple digits at this point.
Oh my gosh.
We are on the cusp, I believe, of me hitting 100 cats. That I have fostered over the last 4 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But it's a ton of fun. I mean, it is work. Don't get me wrong. Everyone thinks they just hang out with kittens all day. There's a little bit more to it than that. But I love it. And I have 3 babies of my own as well. 3 cat babies, I should say.
I was going to say, throw that in there.
Let's clarify this. Fur babies, my cat babies.
Would have been a bit of a surprise for me.
Right. But 2 of them were previous fosters, and all of them actually came from the Kitchener-Waterloo Humane Society.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, and you have to be very careful you don't get too close a friend with Shauna Lynn, because she starts offering up kittens and cats. I've been asked a few times, and I hope she doesn't ask me in front of my daughter, because we'll probably come home with 4. And so just be careful. If you start to notice she's, handing you an animal, just
walk away.
Yeah, if you don't want one, of course. But if you do want one, well, where you can find Shauna Lynn.
I think it's super cute when people tell me that they can't adopt one of my kittens because they already have a cat. I think it's so adorable that they think that one cat is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cute.
We have one dog, and believe me, he's a 65-pound border collie, and yeah, that's enough crazy to go around for everybody.
Yeah, border collies have a lot of energy, let's say.
Yeah, if we can't just come home with one cat. It would have to be like 10, so he can herd them all together, and that would be fantastic. We know, he would. That's all his exercise today, just herding cats.
That would be amazing. Oh, he would so be in his element. I mean, that's what border collies do. They herd animals. Like that's literally
and
their
humans.
purpose.
In our house, is humans too.
There you go.
Just saying.
I love it.
So. Well, Shauna Lynn, thank you so much. Oh, and one more thing.
Yes.
It's like shameless plug day here on the show. The seminar.
Oh, yes. Okay, so the
made
workshop,
famous by probably the RBC mortgage guy.
Stephen Green. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Best 5 minutes of your 2-hour seminar.
That's right.
Bridging your mortgage, right?
That's right.
That's right.
So it's called How to Stand Out, Home Sellers Workshop. And our next one is on Tuesday, September 25th. Okay. And Rabideau Law is also one of the featured speakers at the seminar. And what it is we actually give you tips for what you need to know when it comes to selling your house. So we give tips for preparing your house for sale from a renovation, update, repair aspect, as well as a few of my top staging tips. And then of course, Stephen, you talk about mortgages and what they need to know both on the buying and the selling side, because usually when they're selling a house, they are also purchasing a house. And then Rabideau Law also gives some information about some of the legal aspects of selling your house, and a little bit of kind of insider, I don't want to say tips per se, but they talk a little bit about how to have a nice smooth closing for your house.
He's fancy. He brings a PowerPoint presentation. I have one PowerPoint page, and then I just take it from there. He's fancy. He's got a clicker and everything. Darn lawyers, billing by the hour.
That's right.
Shauna Lynn, thank you so much for coming on. Now, how can people reach you?
So they can go to our website at beyondthestagehomes.com, and they can also find us, of course, Beyond the Stage Homes on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Google+, YouTube, you name it. We're probably on there. And we'd love to connect with anyone who wants to follow us, needs any sort of advice when it comes to selling and preparing their house for sale. We also give lots of great home decor tips and stuff like that. So, and we're very nice people.
You are very nice people. You are.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Now, Shauna Lynn also showed me how to put all the different comments and tags and stuff on YouTube. So what I will do, I will make sure I put all of her information down there, because now I know I can do that sort of thing. Kind of social media expert over here. So anyway, thank you for coming on. It was great having you.
Thank you so much.
Well, everybody, until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great one. Thanks for listening to this podcast with Shauna Lynn Simon. This is the sort of thing I want to bring you, the listener, not just basic things, but people talking about their business, leadership, how to build business. We will talk about finance, but this is just the sort of format that we're looking to provide all of you, the listeners. Don't forget to follow me at RBC Stephen Green, same handle for both Facebook and Twitter. Stay updated with all the new things that are coming out. Talk to you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Green Effect Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Google Play so you catch the next episode. And don't forget to leave a review. Much appreciated.